Good morning, children. How are you all? I hope you all are doing well. First of all, before I begin with today's video, wish you all a very happy Diwali. I hope you and your family enjoy this festival of light and stay with each other safe and secure. So once again, a very happy Diwali to all of you. Let's start with the lesson, air and its constituents. We know, children, that air is a mixture of many gases with a major portion that is contributed by nitrogen and oxygen. That means mostly there are two gases that are present in our air, and that is nitrogen and oxygen. Besides these, we also have carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and the others, but the major portion is shared by these two gases. It is invisible and has no smell. Now, wherever you are sitting right now, children, in the room, there is a lot of air. But can you see the air or can you smell the air? No. You can't see or neither can you smell the air. But that doesn't mean that air is not there. If you are sitting and you are able to breathe properly, you are sitting and you are surviving, that means there is air in the room. The layer of the air surrounding the earth makes the life possible. You know, children, there are so many planets in our solar system, but there are certain reasons because of which life exists on a planet. And out of those possibilities, out of those reasons, children, one reason is presence of air, or what is known as atmosphere. One can stay without food and water, but one cannot stay without air. You know, if we are not given food or water, we can stay alive, we will not die. But if we are not allowed to breathe, if we are not given the supply of air, children, we will not be able to survive. It forms a transparent medium and hence we are able to see through it. Because air is absolutely transparent, children, we are able to see very clearly. Now when you are sitting in a room, you can see everything that is there in the room. Why? Because air is absolutely transparent. Now children, next is given the definition of atmosphere. You can underline these. The blanket of air that will surround the earth is called the atmosphere. It is a mixture of gases in several layers. There are different layers that are present in atmosphere, and layers contain different things in it, like different gases. These layers are dense near the earth's surface. Dense means the density of the air is too much. That means they are compact. The thickness of the air is too much. The envelope of the air becomes thinner as one moves above the earth's surface. That is why you must have experienced, children, when we go to the hilly areas. You all must have been to the hills. When you're climbing the hills, children, you start opening your mouth. You open your mouth and you start breathing in. The reason is because the density of the air is less. As a result, the amount of the oxygen also over there in the air is less. And because we are not used to climbing these hills and all, so we spend a lot of energy in climbing on the hills, and that is why in order to get that kind of an energy, we start opening our mouth and we start taking a lot of oxygen from our mouth. This is also one of the reasons, children, why the mountaineers have to carry an oxygen cylinder with them when they are going and they are climbing the various hills, because the density of the air will become less, and as a result, in order to facilitate breathing, they take the oxygen cylinders with them. Coming to the next thing, children, they are the layers of the atmosphere. That means what are the different layers that are seen or that are found in the atmosphere. The layer of the atmosphere that is closest to the earth. If from the earth we are seeing and we are going up, children, then troposphere is the first layer. All the type of gases are present here. Weather changes also will take place in troposphere. All the changes in the weather, children, whatever is happening, that is all happening in the first layer of the atmosphere, that is troposphere. Sometimes it is very hot, sometimes it is cold, sometimes they are raining. So all those changes are taking place in the first layer, that is of troposphere. The second layer just above the troposphere is the second layer, which is known as stratosphere. This layer is present just above it, Many jet aircrafts fly in this layer, right? The aeroplanes and all, they fly generally in the stratosphere. Now this is important, children. Ozone layer is also present in the stratosphere. Now ozone is a kind of a gas, children. Like oxygen is O2, ozone is O3. Now this ozone, children, it helps to protect our earth from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. So ozone is very important for our atmosphere. Then the next layer above the stratosphere is, children, mesosphere. This is the third layer of the atmosphere, and the meteoroids, they burn out in this layer and therefore they do not reach to the surface of the earth. You know meteoroids in geography, you must have heard about meteoroids, children. So when the meteoroids are falling towards the earth, children, they get burnt in this layer only and they are stopped from reaching the surface of the earth, and so our earth is protected. The last layer is known as thermosphere, children. This is the layer where the space shuttles will move. The space shuttles, maybe you might have seen in the movies or on television, children. So the space shuttles are moving in this thermosphere. The last layer is, children, exosphere. By mistake, children, I told you that the thermosphere is the last layer. But thermosphere is the second last layer, and then the last layer comes as exosphere. You can see in this diagram, right? So exosphere is, children, it is the outermost layer that contains very little amount of the air. Next we come to the constituents of the air. What is actually air made up of? What is the major portion that makes up the air? So the major constituent of the air is nitrogen. It is present to an extent about 78.3% by volume and 75.50% by weight. So nitrogen, that means the major amount of the constituent of air is nitrogen only, children. Nitrogen helps to control the combustion and respiration. Now children, combustion, you know, combustion is another term for burning. Now it is believed, children, that because nitrogen does not support combustion, so it helps to control the combustion. Had nitrogen not been there, children, then the other major gas is oxygen only. And you know that oxygen is a supporter of combustion. That means any kind of burning will keep on, will continue to burn in the presence of oxygen. So as long as oxygen is present, nothing will stop burning. So in case nitrogen had not been there, things would have kept on burning. So that is why we say that nitrogen helps to control the combustion, because the percentage of nitrogen is too much in comparison to the percentage of oxygen. It also helps to control the respiration by diluting the effect of oxygen in the air. It is also very important for the plant growth and for the formation of protein in animals. See, it's written here, children. It is used by the leguminous plant. Now, legumes are the kind of plant which contains generally the beans and all. So, those leguminous plant, they use the nitrogen, and then they help in the formation of proteins. Right? It's written here. The next component that mostly is present in the air is oxygen. As you can see in the diagram over here, children, see 21% approximately is oxygen. That means a lot of oxygen is present. So the second component is, of course, oxygen. Let's see. The percentage of the oxygen in the air is 20.90 by volume and 13.19 by weight. Oxygen is very useful in respiration for all the living organisms. Now, all living organism means plants, animals, and humans. And combustion of fuel. Any kind of burning, right now I told you, will only burn in the presence of oxygen. So, any kind of burning or for respiration, oxygen is required. Next is, children, carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, it is present to an extent of 0.03 to 0.04% by volume and 0.03% by weight. Okay. And it is used for the manufacturing of food by the plants by the process of photosynthesis. You know, children, for the process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is must. Then the last thing is children, water vapor. You know the percentage of water vapor differs from place to place. Water vapor controls the rate of evaporation from the plants and the animal bodies. Now, when there is a lot of water vapor in the air, the rate of evaporation will slow down. That is, during the rainy season and all, the amount of water vapor in the air is too much. So the rate of evaporation slows down, and that is why clothes and all take a lot of time to dry up. Whereas during the summertime, children, the amount of water vapor in the air is less. So the rate of evaporation increases. Right? Same goes for the plants as well as animals. They also help to determine the climatic conditions of a place. The last thing is, children, dust particles. Dust particles are present in variable extent. Variable extent means at places they can be more and at different places they can be less. Water vapor will condense on the dust particle and help to cause the rain. So that means whenever the water vapor is condensing around the dust particles, children, it helps in the process of rain by the process of complete water cycle. We know as long as the sunlight is there, the water keeps on getting evaporated and it condenses around the dust particles and helps in the formation of the clouds, which become heavy to cause the rain. Next are noble gases. The percentage of noble gases in the air is 0.98 by volume. Argon alone contributes about 0.9% and 1.92 by weight. Neon and argon are used for advertising signboards. Now this is the use of neon and argon, noble gases, children. It is used for the illumination of the signboards. That means the signboards that you see, that is because of the presence of neon and argon in them. Radon is used for the treatment of cancer and helium is used in the weather balloons. Now one at a time we are going to see all these noble gases. We start with the first one, that is helium. Helium is the second lightest gas, right? First one is hydrogen and the second one is helium. It does not burn, it does not catch fire, and it is safer than hydrogen, and therefore it has been replaced in the weather forecasting balloons. Earlier it was hydrogen that was filled in the weather forecasting balloons, children, but because hydrogen is a combustible gas, it used to catch fire and the whole balloon used to get burned down because of that. So now in place of hydrogen, helium is used. It is also used to fill the modern spaceships. It is used by the sea divers for the artificial respiration also at times. Next is argon. Argon is a gas that is used for filling the electric bulbs, as I told you right now. A small quantity of mercury and argon are used in the fluorescent lamps. Neon. It is used in advertising glow tubes called the neon sign tubes or the neon sign bulbs. On big shops, hotels and all, as you can see in the picture also, children. When an electric current is passed through the tubes containing neon at a low pressure, a brilliant red-orange light is being produced and they look very beautiful and pretty. So these days they are used for the advertising signboards. Next is xenon. Lighthouses use xenon arc lamps in which light is produced by an electric arc. Xenon arc lamps produce an intense blue-white light and therefore they are used in these lighthouses. Radon is used in hospitals for the treatment of cancer. I'm going to do an experiment over here and I'm going to demonstrate that oxygen is required for burning. Now, as you can see over here, I have lit a candle. And because there is a lot of oxygen around it, it is getting the support of the oxygen that is present around it. So it is burning. Now I am going to take a glass and I am going to invert over it. See, like this. I will be inverting a glass over. Then now what are we going to do? I am going to cover it with a glass. Now see, as I am going to cover it with a glass, children, you are seeing that the flame is still lit. And now slowly it is decreasing in size and it automatically got extinguished. Why? Because as much oxygen was there inside the glass was used up by this. Now in this only I am going to show you one trick which can be played like a magic with your younger brother or sister. Now see children, again we can apply science and we can show this like a trick. Now when the candle is burning, if you put a glass over it children, automatically you have seen that the flame starts becoming smaller and smaller. Now children, you can light the candle, and when we are going to invert a glass over it, you will see that the flame of the candle will start becoming smaller and smaller. Now you can play like a magic. When it is going smaller, you just say some magic chimes, abracadabra, and you just open it a little more, and again it will shoot up. Again if you close it, it will start becoming smaller in size, and abracadabra, it goes up. So without touching the flame, actually you are increasing and decreasing the size of the flame. So that can also be played like a magic, but you know the philosophy and the science behind it. That is, as long as it is getting the support of oxygen, the flame is burning, and as the oxygen around the flame is going to finish up children, the flame is going to get extinguished. So this was your experiment. Okay children, as you can see over here, I have taken a glass of very cold water. As you can have a look at it, it contains all ice in it. As you can see, there is a lot of ice cubes. See, ice cubes can be seen in this. Right, now what I have done is I have taken a glass of very cold water. Now because the water droplets cannot be seen, I am going to show you how the water vapor which is there in the air around the glass have actually started condensing. Have a close look at it. You can see there is a frosty layer over here. Now see, this is all water vapor condensing. Now when I am rubbing it, can you see the clarity has started coming, and I can have water over here on my fingers. Can you see there is water on my fingers? See, if I clear this, you can see see water is there on my fingers. This shows that if we take a glass of very cold water, then whatever water vapor is there in the air around the glass cylinder, as it will come and touch the surface of the glass, it will condense on the surface of the glass. That is what we see over here. See, there's a difference between this and this. Why? Because I have removed it with my fingers, which you can see on my fingers. So I hope children, you have really understood whatever I taught you in today's lesson. And if you have really understood it well, you know what is to be done. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel so that we reach very soon to a bigger family. Once again, thank you and take care. Bye-bye.